Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is up, Marvel and Star Wars nerds, and welcome back to the Carbonite Convos Podcast. If this is your first time joining us, you've just taken your first step into a larger world. This is episode 57, and we have a lot to talk about. We have, I know we already talked about some of these, but we have the Hawkeye finale, Spider-Man No Way Home came out, Book of Boba Fett premiered. We just have so much to talk about. So I'm super excited to just nerd down with everybody. If you're joining us on TikTok, thank you for hopping in, and feel free to let us know your thoughts. Alec, how we doing? Wall crawler pops.
I'm great, man. We've taken a little time off from the pod, just with the holidays going on and a lot of travel. Nick and I were able to hang out. Last weekend, he came out to Arizona. We went to Disney, saw Spider-Man, got to bro down for a little bit. So we're back to the grind a little bit, and we're going to be a little bit more routine again. And I'm excited going into the new year, the direction that the show is going to go. And before we start, always got to throw it out there, guys. If you like what you see here, make sure you smash that like button. Go ahead and hit that sub and that bell button for us, guys. We really appreciate the support. If you're with us on TikTok, guys, feel free to ask any questions you want. We'll, do our best to answer them, and we'll have a nice little convo.
Yes, sir. So what do we want to talk about first? I know we had a crazy weekend last weekend. We went to Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus for the first time.
Let's talk. You want to talk about our trip first, or
I was saying we can talk about that last.
Okay, let's talk about the most recent. Let's talk about Boba.
Book of Boba Fett. Now, for everybody in the in the chat on TikTok, we will try to be as spoiler free as possible. So we're not going to give any. We'll try to be as spoiler free as possible because we want you guys to chill down with us. What were some of your original thoughts, Alec?
I genuinely thought, without saying too much, that the first 10 minutes of this episode was phenomenal, and then it got a little slow after that. Obviously, this is the first episode, and we're not going to get anything super dramatic or super crazy right out of the shoot, but I felt very emotional within the first few minutes when we got the scenes that we did. Honestly, I want to talk about it. Should we just say spoiler alert here, or
spoiler alert? Yeah, now.
All right, spoiler alert. The scene in which we finally saw Boba escape the Sarlacc was something that we've all dreamt of for years. We talked about on the reaction last night. Fans have been asking for this exact scene for nearly 40 years. 40 years. And on December 29th, 2021, we were finally able to get an answer to the question, how did he survive? Did he survive at all? Yada, yada. And the way in which he survived surprised the hell out of me.
What I really liked is that there was so much concept art up to this point of how Boba escapes the Sarlacc pit. Just so many artists putting their visions on paper or, online of how they thought he would get out. And I liked that they incorporated a lot of the most famous shots, like some of the most well-known concept pieces I've seen of that, and just the ones that I've seen floating around the most in, recent years. They took, I feel like Jon Favreau and the writers took a lot of inspiration from that, because I thought it was super cool to see, like you said, just how he got out of there. And man, that guy went through the worst, and we are not even close to seeing this. We're not even close to being done seeing his origin story now.
Right. What's crazy is that dude, over a matter of a few weeks, I don't know how he survived. Anybody else but Boba Fett is completely dead. To get robbed by the Jawas, to get dragged, who knows how many miles over how many days. He was just literally getting dragged by. Were they riding blurgs or whatever? Were they banthas? I don't remember. Just to drag him for who knows how many miles, and for him to survive and be able to come back. And obviously we see his redemption arc in The Mandalorian season 2. it just brings a lot of satisfaction to the character. And it kind of eliminates the pretty crappy ending he had in Empire Strikes Back. I'm sorry, in Return of the Jedi. And kind of eliminated the whole meme of getting Boba Fetted and just having a terrible death to an amazing character. And obviously we now know he survived, and we're getting more of him going forward. As a fan, I couldn't be happier. Boba Fett's become one of my favorite characters over the past couple of years, and I'm just really excited to see him shed in the proper light.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say Tamora Morrison it looked like he lost some weight and got in pretty decent shape for this show.
I think he did too. He
looks good.
It's just so awesome getting Tamura Morrison back. Just getting him as Jango Fett back in 2002 and coming full circle to see him play Boba Fett is just incredible. And to see him have flashbacks of Attack of the Clones when he's holding his father's helmet, it says a lot about what he's been through mentally since then. He's
100%.
He's been on his own pretty much his whole life now.
He has been on his own his whole life, except for maybe working with some other bounty hunters.
Yeah.
But besides that, not really. He's a simple man making his way through the galaxy. And I thought two things. Let's talk about those flashbacks real quick. Okay. The first one being Kamino. Obviously in Bad Batch, we saw Kamino completely destroyed. I want to know if there's, first off, how planets and stuff can be kind of force sensitive or like have an attraction to the force or in that way. I'm curious if, since obviously Boba is a clone, do the clones have some sort of physical attachment to Kamino? Obviously the Kaminoans were kind of an interesting race of aliens, and they were very intelligent, kind of I don't want to say above humans, but they obviously had something special about them. So I'm curious if them making these clones created an attraction of the clones to the planet, and like maybe Boba is having issues with the dream and stuff since Kamino was destroyed. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think it's just more of their home.
Yeah.
We see it play out in the Bad Batch that they say we're going home. They say that several times about just Kamino being home. So I can't imagine that would have anything to do with the dreams, just because Kamino's been destroyed for so long. I assume he knew about that well before he even went into the Sarlacc pit.
Right, because what's the time span between it? It's like 30 years.
Between what?
Between when Kamino was destroyed and in last night's episode. It's about 30 years, no?
Yeah, I think it's about that. Yeah, because it's like 20
Something
years
like
until A New Hope, then a few years for A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then Mandalorian, and this is about 5 years after that.
It's a few years, yeah. So it's about 30-ish, 30-something.
One of the coolest things that I saw about the episode was was Boba saying, "I'm the crime lord now." I think that's going to be the main struggle of the show for Boba, is just being able to rule the way he wants to rule. We hear him say he doesn't want to rule with fear. He wants to rule with respect. But like Fennec says, like others say on the planet, that doesn't really work. You have to adopt their customs, and you have to, I don't know, people respond to fear and power. And from what we've seen so far, I don't think he's showing that incredibly much, just because, he got, I don't want to say defeated, but he got his stuff handed to him by a few thugs in the street. And
right.
Immediately after, he has to go to the Bacta tank, where we see that's where he has his dreams. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how he gets a grip on the crime world without being just ruthless.
Right. It's interesting because, like you said, like he's obviously completely different than Jabba. Jabba ruled with an iron fist, no mercy, would basically kill anyone or anything that disagreed with him or disobeyed him in whatever aspect. but Boba has mercy. And I don't know if that's him being trying to be a hero now, trying to do the right thing. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's interesting because if there's anyone we know that's able to, be a little bit more on the pacifist side, but still have authority, it's Boba Fett. Okay. And the reason I say that is, yes, he was defeated last night. I don't think we're seeing Boba in his strongest form right now. I think he will recover and become stronger as the show goes on. But once he gets that power back, I feel like he'll be able to rule the way he wants to, because if anyone challenges him, he'll just be able to end that and, take care of it himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Jabba wasn't able to go out there and fight. Like he was able to, tell people what to do because he's a Hutt, and obviously the Hutts run the show on Tatooine. But Boba is the one who does the fighting now, and now he's the boss. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, he's no longer a hired gun. He is the
hired. He is the hire.
I know, right? No, but it's gonna be super interesting. And like I said last night, I wondered if it was gonna be a lot like Arrow, where throughout the series we get more pieces to this puzzle of Boba Fett's backstory. And judging by the first episode, it really looks like that's going to be the case, because I still think we have, I'd say 75% of episode 1 was flashbacks. And although we saw him get out of the Sarlacc pit, we saw him make amends with the Tusken Raiders that were holding him captive. It still seems like there wasn't a crazy conclusion as to how we got to this point,
Right.
So
obviously we're not anywhere near the end of the storyline. So I'm sure that will be answered soon.
Yeah, definitely. Overall, I really enjoyed the episode. It was a little slow to finish, but I don't know. This just started brewing, so we have to.
One thing I'm excited to see was, obviously we got the flashback of young Boba holding Jango's mask. I want to see what he immediately did, like where he went from there. I don't know if they have old footage or anything they can use to do that, but I want to see what he did with the armor. Did he hold on to it? How did it turn green is what I want to know. And I feel like we might see that happen. Maybe we get different stages of him throughout his life. Young Boba, teenage Boba, young adult, and then obviously old man Boba. And I'd like to see the different phases of that life and how the armor starts to discolor to become the Boba that we know.
If I had to guess, I would assume that when he becomes more of an adult, he takes on the armor, and then spending a great deal of time on Tatooine, I assume that's where both his ship and the armor takes a beating and becomes the armor that we see now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was weird seeing him in that all white like jumpsuit, like what goes underneath the armor.
Yeah. No,
it's interesting because like that makes the armor look completely different when he has the white underneath versus what it is now. He has the black underneath.
Yeah.
And they're both very cool. Like I don't know which one I like better, to be completely honest. One's obviously more classic and one's the, updated version. But how sick did the cleaned up armor look, dude?
It looked dope.
Looked so good.
One thing I'm curious about, do you think that was Luke's house?
I don't know, man. It's tough to tell because it's Tatooine. Everything looks the same. It's all sand and little tiny huts. So it's hard to tell. It looked extremely similar. I would need to look at a picture side by side and look at the exact little, like, I don't know what I would call like antenna and like machines that are outside. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're moisture evaporators.
Yeah.
They had.
I think that would be the difference maker in determining that.
Well, what was interesting about it is whoever was raiding the home, which the logo they designed on the side of the house, that was super interesting, and I'm really curious to see who this gang is, who in general this is, because I think those are going to be the main people that Boba has problems with, is the people who raided this house. But if you look, their speeder bikes were the exact same ones that Anakin rode in Attack of the Clones and that they had at the Lars household. So it just looks too similar because you have the moisture evaporator out front, then you have the house, you have the moisture evaporator, and then you have the slight hill where it goes into the ground where Luke stands, and we see the classic Star Wars looking at the binary sunset. It just looks like too similar to not be it, you know?
That could be like how we were expecting season 2 of Mando to go, like where we get like subtle hints at, original trilogy stuff, or it was just like, oh my God, that's the place where Luke stood, or oh my God, that was, where Obi-Wan and Vader or whoever they fought right there. Or, you know what I'm getting at? Just like slight, hints at things that have been important in the past. Obviously, Mando season 2, we got way more than that. But this is what I'm thinking we're going to get for Boba, because obviously everything's kind of happened. We're way past that point in time. And I don't know about you, man, but I think they're, obviously wanted to go forward with that character and make the show about him. So I don't know exactly what we're going to get as far as Easter eggs.
Yeah, no, I think the main Easter eggs would be just like awesome cameos, which I assume some will come. It being Tatooine and just revolving around, the greatest bounty hunter that the galaxy has known. That's
right.
Kind of like Vision says in Age of Ultron, something along the lines of like strength comes conflict, and conflict breeds catastrophe. So Boba's strength and him just being there is what just easily leads to competition and conflict, so I think that's what we're going to see play out in this show. But it's super interesting to see the dynamic between him and Fennec, him and his new clients on Tatooine and Mos Espa. Overall, I'm super happy with it.
How great is Fennec?
I like her a lot.
Like,
you
what? How do you say her name?
Fennec.
No, the actress.
Oh, Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen. There you go. Thank you. Like you said last night during the reaction, she seems to be really into the character, and that's always great. It's so unfortunate when actors or actresses, whatever, aren't into the role that they're playing. Obviously, like, comparison of like Harrison Ford and Han Solo, like how it's created like, some distrust of the character over the years. When people are invested in the character they play, there's so much more emotion, and you have the ability to relate to that character so much more. So I'm really excited to see where she's going to go.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think there's any chance she turns on him?
No, I don't think so. No way. If like, listen to like what she said to Din in season 2 of Mando, like she was left for dead.
Yeah.
And she said, I was saved by Boba Fett. And from what I've seen from that character so far, she seems to be extremely loyal. And if someone were to save her, like someone saved her life, that's a life debt. And obviously in Star Wars, like a life debt means a lot. Look at Chewbacca and Han Solo, for instance. Han saved him and Chewie gave him his life.
I could see there being some conflict with her giving her opinion too much, maybe trying to overstep.
And then maybe Boba has to get a little aggressive with her.
Maybe not aggressive, but kind of has to put her in her place, saying, I'm the crime lord.
I'm the crime lord now.
I ask for your opinion when I see fit, because she does suggest a lot. So that was the only reason why I asked that. So I could see that becoming maybe a little rift between the two, but I don't know. It seems like they have an awesome dynamic.
I think so too. So the characters that are rumored to appear obviously are Luke, Ahsoka, potentially Mace Windu, Cad Bane, maybe some other bounty hunters. Of those, who do you think is the most realistic to show up?
Dude, the only one I've heard of was Cad Bane. I did not hear any about Luke, Mace, or Ahsoka.
They're just rumors, obviously. So like, who knows if that's even, it could be completely pulled out of thin air. But those are the ones that I've heard so far. Do you think it's realistic to see any former Jedi?
I mean, if anything, maybe Mace Windu in a flashback. But that sounds like people just pulling stuff out of their ass. like Joe Schmo on Instagram or freaking Benny on TikTok just making up stuff to get views or anything. So I don't think we'll see a current Mace Windu. I don't really see why Ahsoka would pop up at this point. And I honestly don't see Luke playing a part in it at all. I could be wrong. You know, it is Tatooine. We did just get him in Mando, but I feel like it'd be almost overkill by putting him in this one too. I think the biggest one is Cad Bane and just more along the bounty hunters and sort of the scum and villainy of the galaxy. I don't think Jedi are going to be the main draw of this show.
No, I agree. I think it's definitely going to be a lot more on the grimy, crime-filled side.
Sleemos.
Sleemos. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, but no, I'm super excited for it as a whole. How about the freaking monster at the end? Whatever the hell that was.
Dude, I mean, if you guys haven't seen our reaction, you should go check it out because Nick and I were both like, what the hell is this? Like, it came out of nowhere. Obviously, it's like standing on 4 legs, but it's like super tall. And we're like, what the hell? Like, this thing is terrifying. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, it was a really interesting creature and not one that I'm familiar with. Maybe it's popped up
I've never seen it
in deep lore, but it's not one I'm familiar with. But it's really interesting to see, and it was cool to see Boba finally get accepted by the Tuskens that were keeping him captive, and we're gonna move right on into episode 2 and get right back into it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir. So I'm actually seeing No Way Home tonight.
Really? Dude, I want to go see it again. I think I'm probably in the next week or so. I'm going to go see it again.
Me and my dad went to go see it last night, and there were no tickets left on a Tuesday night.
Really?
8:45. There were tickets
a week and plus after it came out.
There were 2 seats together all the way on the side in row 3, and then there were single seaters spread throughout. But yeah, so we decided to pack it
weird.
up. A couple
That's
beers
surprising.
instead. Yeah, it's Vinny Bricks came out and had a couple beers with us last night. We got to get him on the show again.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, everybody.
We'll see, Doug.
There's
a little lag
delay
here in our.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on with it. But anyways,
anybody throwing us likes? Thank you for Jacob DX1. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing as well. But yeah, man, I was excited to go see it again. So we're gonna see it tonight, and I don't know. I've still only seen it once. You and I have had an incredibly busy week and a half.
We've had a lot of fandom filled experiences over the past, week or so. Obviously if you've been on the channel before, you know that Nick and I, Nick was able to fly out to Arizona. Last weekend we saw Spider-Man, and then we drove out to Anaheim and went to Disneyland and California Adventure. We're able to check out Avengers Campus for the first time, as well as Galaxy's Edge for the first time. And let me tell you, it was life changing. If you have not been able to do that yet and you are a huge fan, I highly recommend you add that to your bucket list because we had a great time. It was an unreal experience.
We have videos of us making our lightsabers, but just to kind of put it in perspective, if you are a Star Wars fan, making your lightsaber and the ceremony they do for you at Galaxy's Edge is something you will never be able to experience anywhere else. I've never felt that connected and just that. It was just surreal. Just the feelings that I was getting while making the lightsaber.
Dude, this thing
making noise.
It is making noise.
I think your mic's drowning it out. But yeah,
making this thing was, like I just said, life changing. Obviously, if you want to be surprised for it, spoiler alert here, how they were able to do it and how they were able to fill a room with random people, make it seem like you were literally completing your Jedi training, like you have earned the right to create a lightsaber. How, I don't want to, what do you want to call him, an actor, whoever was leading the ceremony inside the room, did an absolutely unbelievable job making it feel real. How he, talked about, he held up the lightsaber and then the music started playing and then Yoda's voice came over the intercom.
Yeah, like don't do too much because like I don't know.
Well, I said spoilers.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to.
We're talking.
Yeah, but how will
Whatever.
people know when to skip through and whatnot? Like, I just don't want to ruin the experience for anybody else because I managed to stay away from it for 2 years, and now I can watch videos of Galaxy's Edge. I can look into the backstories of it, but man, it was.
I
It
can't
was
believe
hard
you
not to watch
hadn't
stuff.
seen anything on it.
I just didn't want to. Like, I knew the gist of it. Like, I knew, of the workshops, of the cantinas and stuff, but I didn't. I wanted to go in truly surprised, and I did.
The one thing I wish I would have known was that when we were a little confused on the process. So like when you first get there, you have to pick which hilt and stuff you want to create outside of the room, and they give you 4 options to choose from, and then inside of those 4 options is where you get to build and like choose each individual part.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had a little bit more time to look at the options outside before making a decision.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only advice I would say is like just look into those first before you go.
Yeah, definitely. And then if you have not been able to ride Rise of the Resistance, that is also just something you have to check off because I've never experienced a ride like that. Star Tours, roller coasters across the country, like none of them compare to the experience that you get on Rise of the Resistance. You feel like you are taken off of planet Earth and you are in outer space in the Star Wars galaxy. It was, again, surreal. I can't think of another word to describe it because it literally just didn't feel real.
So we had a huge learning experience at Disneyland. Nick, I, and our girlfriends woke up early, walked over to the park. Like we were there before the park opened, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get there and we're gonna haul ass straight to Rise of the Resistance. Try to get be one of the first ones in line. Maybe we'll wait an hour, whatever it is. We get there, we're ready to go, and
that
dude, I could not believe the line. How is that physically possible to have that many people standing there?
I don't even know how. I'm very curious to see how long they waited. Because
if anyone's familiar with how Disneyland's set up, Galaxy's Edge is in the very back of the park. And dude, the line was literally to the front of the park. It was wild.
We ended up buying a $20 fast pass to it, which it was completely worth it.
100% worth it. We would have waited for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, 10-minute wait. We got right on, got off, and then we experienced the rest of Galaxy's Edge, the rest of Disneyland. It was awesome. We did web slingers at Avengers Campus. It was just an awesome time.
They've managed to create Galaxy's Edge in a way that is a completely immersive experience. I mean, you genuinely feel like you're there. Like you're able to go inside, like you're able to go inside the Falcon. When you're waiting, you sit inside of the little like sofa that's in the middle of the Falcon, like while you're waiting to go into the cockpit. There were just so many things like the cantina. You were able to go in there and feel like you were at a cantina. Like there's like wild stuff going on everywhere. The drinks and the food are crazy.
Food sucked.
Well, we did get the worst possible
sucked.
option. That was bad. It was like fried seaweed and like fried bananas. It was a very interesting little
dried fruit
mix medley. It was gross, yeah. But besides that, it was great.
Yeah, no, it was awesome experience. I'm sure a lot of you have been there. So feel free to share your thoughts and your experiences. But man, it was so cool. I was able to see the Doctor Strange show at Avengers Campus, which was awesome. We ran into so many characters from Black Panther, Thor, Loki, Iron Man, Spidey. We did web slingers. I kicked Alec's ass in the Spider-Man ride. That was fun.
I know.
That was fun.
In my defense, I did not realize how it worked at first. Like the first room, I don't know why.
For everybody watching, this is what you do. Not too complicated.
Okay. Listen, I was thinking like you would get like, oh, there's one spider bot, oh, there's another one, but no, they're everywhere, and your job is to literally just be all over the place.
My
And I didn't
forearms
realize
were
that
on
at first.
fire.
So I'm going one at a time. I'm like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. And you're over here like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to catch up. Like,
I know towards the end
and
when
then
they
we
had
started going in.
they had the big spider bot. I was like slinging my arms so hard that I was like,
we were going at
it was nuts. It was so much fun.
it. Dude,
Overall, the day.
I
as
don't
a
remember
whole
what our
was
score
great.
was, but if we were able to all do it together again, we definitely could have at least gotten close to the high score for the day, because we did pretty solid for not really knowing how it worked.
Yeah, me and Rosemary did it again, and the people that we rode with, we got higher than our score that us four did. But I think we got like 790, like 795,000, and when us four did it, we got like 730. It's just knowing which bots to hit. You have to defeat the big bosses. You get so much for that. Yeah. Overall was
Yep.
the ride
And then
was
there's
awesome.
certain color ones that are worth more points and stuff.
Yeah. The ride was awesome. Just the ambiance, everything about it. I wouldn't change a thing. And I can't wait to see how they expand, because obviously over time they'll expand on both of these worlds. So I'm super excited for that. I loved it. Other than Savi's workshop, what was the little store called?
The next to it,
Yeah.
something outpost. I'm not 100%
Not Black
sure.
Spire Outpost, but there was one shop where all the lightsabers were sold.
Yeah. I don't
ended
remember what
up-
it's called.
Yeah. No, I ended up buying Ray's saber. I bought a Sith holocron. I bought Yoda's cane. I spent some money at
Man, they can really get you there. Like,
yeah.
it sucks because like you bought the Sith holocron and then you had to buy a separate kyber crystal to get it to work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, they can literally just keep doing things and spend another $30 and you can do this. Oh, another $30 and you can do this. They really get you. They know how to do it.
They're printing money at this point.
Literally.
Yeah, man. But overall, it was an awesome experience.
You know what sucked? It didn't suck, but like we must have picked a bad day to go to Avengers Campus, because we were kind of confused on like the update as far as how Avengers Campus was, because we saw Black Widow and we saw her and Black Panther fight Taskmaster. Thor was out, Loki was out, Black Panther. But I saw a video like from like 2 days after we were there, and it was updated. So like Wanda was there, Shang-Chi was there,
Really?
more Eternals, more what do you call it? Updated Hawkeye. Like it was like more up to date. So maybe we just chose a bad day to go, but I mean, I still obviously loved it, and we still got to see some really cool characters. Iron Man was really cool. He was asking like a lot of questions and stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe different days they have different themes, because you can't do, if they want to make it as immersive as possible. I don't think anymore you can have Iron Man with Wanda and Loki. So you kind of have to separate that up with Iron Man and classic Thor, classic Loki, the original Black Widow, Black Panther, those people
Variant
that are
Loki,
still around,
like,
that aren't around anymore. And then, well, no, not variant Loki, because he shouldn't be with
with the new stuff.
Yeah, but I was saying Iron Man would be with the old stuff.
No, right.
And then, you have the separate days of variant Loki, Shang-Chi, Wanda, Doctor Strange. So maybe they just separate it by day for different eras of the MCU.
No, that could 100% be how it is. That would make a lot of sense.
Yep. But overall, had a great time out there and
spent a lot of money.
Saw Spider-Man No Way Home, seen it again tonight. Had the Hawkeye finale. Like, it was just a good time.
We were able to get a lot done. It was really good to be able to, really hang out, bro down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What about see, we didn't really do an episode after the Hawkeye finale, so I feel like it deserves an episode of its own.
Right.
Yeah, but at this point, it's been out for a week and a half.
It's kind of old news at this point.
I know.
So Kingpin was super interesting, and obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with him going forward. There's no way that's the ending he's going to get. There's no way, no possible way. There's no way they were going to like bring him back, bring back Matt Murdock, and then just kill Kingpin off. Like, no, with the direction that like this MCU Sony verse, all Spider-Man related is going, and with Kingpin being obviously infamous, Spider-Man villain in the streets of New York, there's no way he's done. I could genuinely see, Daredevil coming back. I actually saw an interesting theory the other day about why no one knows about Daredevil or Kingpin. It was that Daredevil took up the mantle, and this is how they're going to explain like how the show's canon, is that it takes place during the blip. So for the 5 years Spider-Man was gone, someone had to step up and protect New York, and that was Daredevil.
Really?
And that's why no one knows about it, is because obviously shit hit the fan, so no one really cares about what's really happening other than getting the world back to normal.
Yeah. Wow, that's super cool.
I think that could work.
It could. They'd have to play. I feel like they'd have to include like the Flag Smashers and what happened in Falcon Winter Soldier into that as well, because they're both going on simultaneously in New York. But yeah, man, that's dope. That's dope. That I could see that happening. It's little things like
absolutely.
that where Marvel will be able to tie in other movies, other shows that were not previously canon in the MCU. But I have my full trust that that they'll get it done.
They can do it right.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because I don't know about you, man, but I'm super confused on the direction of Spider-Man now, because obviously, Tom is signed back on for 3 movies, but from what I've heard, I don't think Sony's done with Andrew. So what's interesting is the three Tom movies that are going to be made going forward, they're technically still they're not going to be fully part of the MCU, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be part of the Sony verse either. What it seems like is happening is that Andrew Spidey is going to be picked up, and that's going to be the main Spider-Man in the Sony universe.
Yeah,
because obviously at the end of TASM 2, like we see Spider-Man take a hiatus away from being Spider-Man, just, obviously after losing Gwen and everything. And I think that might be where it seems like in the Morbius movie, we see the mural of Spider-Man, with murderer across the front. And I think that could easily be about Andrew's time spent away from being a hero. And with Secret Wars and everything being, in the near future, that's about a variance of characters ending up on Battle World and fighting against each other. And with Toby and Andrew being set up as, the 2 most popular variants of a character right now, there's no way that they're done. They're just gonna be able to print money if they bring them back for Secret Wars again.
It's like the exact opposite of what you said on opening night. You said,
I know it is. I know. I really didn't think so, but after thinking about it for a little bit, dude, it makes a lot of sense. And after the post credit with Venom going back to his universe, there's no. I really think Andrew talking about like, oh, I never fought an alien, I just fought a Rhino guy. That's foreshadowing, man.
It could
he's gonna fight Tom Hardy.
That'd be awesome. And then we're getting, we have the Venom symbiote still left behind too. So we're
getting Black Suit. I think we're going to get Black Cat. We're going to get a very dark storyline. We're going to get Kraven's Last Hunt. We're going to get so much. And what's going to be interesting is, in my opinion, after seeing the Parker suit is what it's being called. Extremely comic accurate. We're going to get some accurate comic storylines, and I'm hype.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have the Spider-Man animated show coming out.
Right. I'm hoping we get a little bit more origin story. I want to see him get bit by the spider.
Dude, someone made a good point. I saw a video on TikTok that, in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, we get their origin story within the first 30 minutes. We see them gets bit by the spider, has devastating loss, and then he becomes Spider-Man. And someone, I can't remember what channel it was, but they made a great point. After seeing No Way Home, you realize that although you don't see Peter get bit by the spider, it's almost as if Homecoming and Far From Home, that is his origin story. That shows what Peter Parker, how he evolved to go from Iron Boy and the little kid that always needed to be under someone's wing to the Spider-Man that we're going to see moving forward.
It's interesting you say that. Real quick, in the chat, guys, thank you for blowing up the likes. Really appreciate that. Keep it going. No, we've never gotten an origin story spread out over 3 movies. And what's interesting is no one would
said that
call
pretty
him
aggressive.
I know.
I was like, whoa.
No, that's my inner goblin right there. No, we've never really gotten something spread out like this. And what I find it interesting over, the movies, no one would really call him Spider-Man, except maybe some people on the streets who didn't really know, but no other heroes and stuff would call him Spider-Man because I don't think
but Tony's different.
But Tony's different. Like he had a vision for him, I think is what he was getting at.
They called him Kid.
Called him Kid and all that. Yes. Now he had not had his full origin story. He had not had his come to the light moment. He had not had his ultimate sacrifice moment. And we talked about it in our, review of No Way Home last week. He became Spider-Man when May died, when he heard the words, "With great power comes with great responsibility." That was his defining moment.
I'm getting chills just thinking about that scene, man.
Unbelievable. So good. So I want to see, I'm happy that they took the time to spread it out over this much because I think he deserved that. I think, obviously in the Raimi trilogy and in TASM, it happens in the first couple minutes. And I don't think that's ever been a topic that's been covered enough where they're able to dive in. And that might be the most important moment of his life, like the true defining moment of him becoming the character. And, it's been a ride. I was personally not really satisfied with the first 2 movies of it being Homecoming and Far From Home at the time. But now after seeing No Way Home, I do like those first 2 movies considerably better because it kind of runs into one story,
Yeah, and it's almost like they set him up as this kid, not so we dislike him, but so we would have this conversation about how he's so different from the Spider-Men that we've seen throughout the comics, throughout other films.
Spider people.
Exactly. Sorry, that threw me off. He's so different than the Spider-Man we've seen in the comics and other movies. And not that they made us dislike him, but they just made us view him in a slightly lesser way.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that, this isn't what Spider-Man's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be under Iron Man's wing. He's not supposed to be led by someone. He's his own hero. He deals with his own struggles. And
he works by himself. He doesn't really work with a team.
Yes. And then to flip that around in No Way Home and realize that all of that got him to this point, to being on his own and becoming Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, dude, I couldn't be any happier with how things have ended. And we literally have limitless options as far as what's going to happen with the character going forward, man. I don't know what else I could ask for. I don't know what else anyone could ask for. It's literally everything we've wanted forever. It's interesting. Marvel has discovered the formula that all they have to do is listen to the fans and they can literally just print money.
I know.
They can literally just print money. Hey, give us all the Spider-Man. Okay, here, give us $1 billion and we'll do it. Sure.
Put all the X-Men in it. They're coming too.
Dude, they have to be coming with Secret Wars, man. Secret Wars is going to be a thing. And again, it's Secret Wars is a bunch of variants of characters that have come to the same universe, ended up on Battle Planet, and basically have to duke it out. Dude, what do you think? What do you think the chances are Chris Evans could return as Human Torch? He talked about it. He talked about it. He goes, my time as Steve Rogers is done, which I'm glad. I don't want them to ruin anything. His ending was fantastic. It sucks not seeing him
That's
again.
easy
but
for you to say
some-
though, as a
No, I
Spidey
get
fan,
that.
because
I do get that. I know Cap's your guy, but this my personal opinion. Obviously, like if they're gonna do more Cap, I take it. But his storyline ended in a great way. But he talked about, he goes, Johnny Storm is close to my heart too, because that was the first superhero he played. And he goes, I would definitely be open to talking about making a return as him. And I think that would be insane.
that would be so.
You imagine
cool.
if he walked out of a portal and we're like, oh my God, Cap's back, and then all of a sudden he just goes
fire,
flame on, and he just turns into flames. We're like, no way, like,
oh man,
that'd be wild.
that would be. I'd love to get Chris Evans back in the MCU, man, because he's what made me really love Cap.
Right.
So it's it's sad.
I'm excited to see him as Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, same.
That's gonna be sweet. That's gonna be really good. I'm excited for that.
When's he gonna come over to Star Wars?
Do you think he'd be a Jedi?
He's like kind of the epitome of a hard-headed Jedi during the New Republic.
Yep.
I don't know, just his ideals, which his ideals are why I ended up loving the character so much. But he is like the epitome of just someone who is not swayed, and it is. I don't know. I could just see him doing very, very well as a Jedi. Honestly, with all his speeches too, he could definitely open some ears in the Senate. But do you have anything else? I know we didn't talk. We didn't talk about Hawkeye, but we spoke pretty briefly on Spider-Man No Way Home. But it's gonna, it's good. Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna come up in conversations for years to come. So
for a while.
Yeah. So do you have anything else before we let the people go?
No, I don't think so. I think we got the majority of what we wanted out. I'm really excited for, the next couple episodes of Boba. That's obviously, a huge show. Besides that, we have, Morbius comes out in a couple weeks. I'm personally really excited for that. The runtime for that came out. I think it's an hour and 48 minutes. So it's another short
Nice.
one. So I don't know. It's interesting because like Venom 2 was super short. And obviously we know that wasn't the best movie ever. I liked it. But like I was obviously not received by fans, the best.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the runtime has anything to do with that. So it makes me a little bit nervous about Morbius. But I'm obviously still going to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And then Multiverse of Madness after that.
And that's shortly after, man. That's wild. I can't believe that's getting that close. Did you see in the trailer when they show Wong, he's like bound by Wanda's like magic. He's
Really?
like being like held up, like, so she might end up being a villain in this show.
I think that's
in this movie. I mean,
very
because
big possibility.
Do you think there's a chance that Doctor Strange that approached her is the what if Doctor Strange? And like convinces her to fight with him and stuff. And
I don't know. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
I'm curious because obviously in WandaVision, Agatha says something to her like, "Oh, your powers go beyond that of the Sorcerer Supreme." We now know she's talking about Wong at the time, because Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore. So I'm curious if the what if Doctor Strange has come to this universe, is trying to recruit Wanda to become the Sorcerer Supreme again.
Wait, so he can become the Sorcerer Supreme, or
so that I guess so. That's what I'm thinking.
How would him recruiting her make him the Sorcerer Supreme?
Because if she helps him kill Wong.
See, I don't see him trying to get Wong killed, because even that Doctor Strange had a good relationship with Wong. I don't know. Their
relationship seemed a little weird in No Way Home. Something was off about it, I think.
No, it was. But I think we'll see that play out.
Yeah,
for sure. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in, whether it's on YouTube, podcast platforms or live here on TikTok. We can't thank you enough for coming back for another episode. Don't forget to check out our reaction to episode 1 of the Book of Boba Fett that is out now. And later today, we will be having our next Funko Pop list drop from Funko Pops we need from Avengers Age of Ultron. We had a lot of awesome pops made specifically for this list from some awesome creators online. So definitely come back to check that out later today. And then just make sure to be back next week for episode 58 and episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett. But until then, may the Force be with you.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.